Hi guys, well this is just a little bit of a fill-in because we've had issues with part one of the Poppyfields workshop, in as much as the iPad froze when recording, and as a result we had 10 minutes of frozen film while I was doing the tree. So I'm just going to add this into the second part, so if you're watching this, this should hopefully be at the right point in the video. Apologies for the difficulties we're having with technical issues. So I thought what I would do is, I know I'm using the textured side, but I'm using a scrap bit of paper because this is just a very quick demonstration of the tree that was in part one that wasn't really complete. So the first thing I'm going to do is we just want to put in the trunk. We work on our trees. You could use pastel pencil actually if you've got one, just to be a bit more exacting. But also all I'm doing now is just looking at the photograph of this tree and working out all the different elements to it. Typically it's got a thick trunk at the bottom, just like any tree would have, so I'm just putting in the outline of that to begin with. And then we have this canopy, and don't worry that the yellow doesn't cover everything, but I just wanted to just revisit this and show you how I did it. So I'm just putting in some branches. This is going to be a rough idea of what is on the picture. So please, by all means, go back to the original picture. I'm not going to make this look absolutely wonderful. It's just a few minutes of time, just for you guys to just understand trees better, really, and get a better idea. So I've just put the trunks in with pencil. I'm just going to go in now and just shape that with this pastel. Nice thick areas of trunks. We've got some coming up here and others that are going off that way. So first of all, we're just looking at, there's a dense area here. Now, when we cover a dense area, all that we need to do is just dot around with the, just a dot and a scrape, dot and a scrape. We just want to fill that in because that's dense. And then as we get further out around the trees, we do tiny dots. So for example, here, we've got some little areas and it's just dot, 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 dot. But if we get into the thicker areas of the trees, it's scrape, 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 dot, dot, like that. Because we just want to make the most of our time on this. We don't want to spend forever. So it's quite a dense area up here, so I would do the same. It's just a scrape rather than a dot. Scrape, and if you can see, hopefully you can see, it's just a scrape like that. Scrape, scrape, scrape. So we're not like doing a dot dot, we're putting a bit more of a marker on it. So again, we'll just carry on doing that and dot 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 as we go around. And then, you know, we're just basically looking at the canopy, and then where the areas are sparser, we're just going to put a dot 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 instead. Dot dot dot. We want these to look fine, and they're spaced out, they're not as dense. So this is basically it. That's how I've created the tree. So you just look at your different branches, where you're further away from the tree, you're going with much finer dots for your leaves. And when you know it's a little bit more, like for example, we've got quite a dense area here, we could just draw the top of the canopy if we wanted to, and then just dot 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 like so. And we just continue to do that until we're happy. Just putting these different canopies in. At the top here there's some more. So it's just a dot 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 dot. And it just creates that overall effect that you're looking for. So dot 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 dot. So I'm really just stabbing the pastel onto paper here. And I'm not going to complete the whole tree, I just wanted to quickly improvise here and show you what we were missing. So we've got quite a big canopy over here, again, dot dot dot. Just look at the shape of your tree, observe that, and just go with it and enjoy it. It's a bit thicker here in places, and that's it really. I mean, you can see that the basic shapes are there. The other thing that I did that perhaps I can't remember if it was there or not when I did it before. I mean, this is just a very, very rough sketch. And the original tree obviously is more effective, but I just wanted to give you a quick idea of what you've missed. We can go in for some denser areas here and more of a scribble if you wanted to. And then we can go in with the pencil as such and start putting in branches. If you haven't got a pencil, just use the sharp edge of your pastel. Drawing these up. So it's not perfect by any means, but I just wanted to give you this example so that you can see it's quite thick here. Again, you know, you can go in quite heavy with the pastels where it's thicker. And there we go. Dot, dot, dot further away. And then the other thing that I haven't got, oh yeah, I've got a green here. I did go in with different colours greens, but if you remember on the picture, the sun is here. So we also want to put highlights onto this tree so that you can appreciate that the light is hitting this tree more predominantly where the sun is. So you can just go over that with lighter greens and lighter still if you want to. But just do the same effect, dot, 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 dot. There we go. And we're almost there then. Probably going with a little bit more lighter green right on the tip. Oh, bear with me, that's the phone ringing. Won't be a moment. Bear with me a sec. Okay, right guys, so as you can see, we're just highlighting that area, light like so. There we go. And we're just going to carry on, and you just work on your light hitting, because we have the sun here. Work on the light there, work on your branches. This is a very rough version of what I'd already done, but I just wanted to show you what we've missed on that video, and hopefully that will help you with your tutorial. And now we'll continue with the rest of the video. Thank you guys. Okay, so it's a bit further on in the day now, and I have changed the sun a little bit. I could see quite clearly afterwards looking at it that it was quite oval. I had a little bit more yellow and reduced the size of it as well because it was just a little bit too big. So if you can take note of that, and if you've copied me along that way, then obviously you'll need to make some changes. I'll just go back to the original photograph here, and I don't know if it's clear enough to see. Actually, I'll try and put it on at a tilt. Just looking at this, there's quite a few layers of colour before we put the poppies on. So what we're going to do first of all is render what's behind the poppies, and then we'll add the red on top. So we're going to start just imagining those poppies don't exist for now, and we're going to just basically put in some colour in the depths of that, so that then it will look more realistic when we come to finish it. Okay. I'm just looking at the photograph and trying to ascertain just the different levels and layers that are going on. Over here we did touch lightly with the light green because there were some accents here, so I think I want to reiterate that looking at the photograph, and then we'll apply some taller grasses in the darker parts coming up. So don't keep it too uniform, just go in with your lighter green. There's bits and bobs there where these grasses sit higher and lower, so don't be too worried about details like this, because the grasses will end up finishing it off properly anyway. So we're just going in lightly there. Now I'm just thinking about levels of colour. As we get into the poppies, it's predominantly quite a muted green, so I'm going to apply a little bit more of this green on first, and we'll come back to the yellow. And I'm just going to tap it around. I don't want it to be uniform, and I want it to look a bit messy because it's quite busy. I'm just tapping it, and then I'm just going to blow off the excess. Then I'm just going to come in with some darker highlights of this darker green, because there's areas in here that are just much darker than others. So just go in and here and there, just scratching just lots of different darker tones, and we'll elaborate on this as we go along as well. But for now I'm concentrating on just a bit of a line here. Because you've got depth, you've got more poppies and sparse poppies, and all of that changes what's going on in the depths of this greenery under the poppies. And then I'm actually going to go in with very, very dark green. And within that I'm going to just scratch, again, just like we do with grasses in the past, if you watched me before, lots of different layers going on. And then we can apply poppies on top. I'm just concentrating on this line at the moment. I'm trying to keep it quite random. Sometimes that's difficult to do and you have to stop yourself and think. Yeah, just putting in accents of light and dark. But it's all over this. I'm definitely going in harder with this darker green. Those lighter greens gave me an idea of where I was. We'll leave that there, and then we'll head back to those green grasses and grab a pencil. And where we have the tops of these green grasses, if you can find a relatively similar coloured pencil, and then just if you zoom in, you can see there's quite bushy reeds knocking around here as well. So just by scratching from that other colour, just put in some blocky reeds, push them together in places and bunch them up in others. It's your world. And it's just a sort of, you know, also, you know, there's more layers going on, and it always makes it more interesting for the viewer. I'm just basically drawing in these reeds here and there. It's a bit light over here, so I might go in with a little bit more colour, a darker brush, a darker pencil maybe. Another pencil here, just to stop them looking too white. Maybe more yellowy actually would be better, more golden yellow. We've got the sun there, so it makes sense that these little things here will catch a bit more colour. I think that'll do for now. So we're now starting to get this multi-layer going on, and we've got the greens here, which I'm just going to tap in. Just tap, tap, tap with your fingers. And that's the first layer, really, the first darkish layer. But if you look carefully, there's multiple layers going on. So I'm now going to start thinking about applying a little bit more light onto this one, and then another row of kind of quite dark. Because the way I see it is that there's this darkened area here, almost like a row of poppies. So if I'm just going in and scratching details where I see there's darker areas, I may even go in with a darker colour at this point, because it is more vibrant. And it does look a bit messy and patchy, but it will work. So I'm just giving myself an indication of a line of much more going on. And then down here, of course, we can just go around and scratch about darker bits and lighter bits. And then when we start adding the poppies and their stalks, and it looks like they're all in the dark, it just all makes sense. So at the moment I'm just scratching and mulling around with this one, and just bearing in mind the different, there's a couple of different layers that you can see in the photograph. In this area here, I'm just going to use this one, go a little bit lighter on it, not too much pressure. Again, I'm just applying patchy areas, just really just scribbling, you know, but all of this works, so have patience. There we go. And obviously as you come closer, the spaces in between these are going to get fewer and further between. There's going to be, so if you get closer, there are going to be much bigger gaps and bigger poppies to be had. So just going to accent some of this and reiterate that line that I'd decided on here, up here, a little bit more darkness. And it looks a mess right now, but this is where it all starts to come together. We're just going to carry on tapping, tap tap, and a little rub maybe here and there, tap tap tap, because we want this to be covered, but also we can't have it too covered because we won't get the beautiful red poppies showing through. So it's a case of trial and error, and we're going to keep applying colour to this till it ends up looking quite dark, I think. But we shall see once we get moving a little bit further on. Yeah. So now we can start getting a bit darker again. This one's quite a dusty one. So now I've got a proper charcoaly colour, and I'm just going to go back into some of these darker areas that I've established on here, and we're just going to get a little bit darker in places, because it has to have plenty of depth behind it, otherwise it won't look convincing. So it's just getting the application right for the sort of underpainting, if you like, of the pastel before we begin to risk applying these lovely poppies. So here we are, we're just putting these accents in, remembering roughly, well, we've got a dark line there, we have one here, and then once I've got to the right tones and depth, then we can begin. So what I want to do now, we've got to this bottom area, it's quite considerably darker, so I'm just going to do a very soft drag of this black up into that line, maybe go again, just until I feel that's covered enough with the darker colour. Plenty of dust up here, I'm going to gather that back up, I'm not going to waste it, and just tap it in, tap tap tap, tap tap tap. All these different tonal values will help us work out where we're going to place the poppies. Actually going to start blending a little bit as well into the paper. So now instead of just a flat tap, I'm actively just pushing it in parts, because I want to keep that texture. I'm happy with that. And back with this black again. And again, just going to highlight even more these darker areas. We don't need as much dark up here, so I think that might just be about it really, because this up here is much lighter, and when we place all these wonderful poppies on top of it and give it some more depth, hopefully it shall come together quite nicely for everyone. I'm going to go back to the very top where we've got these greens, and I just want to kind of neutralise that strong yellow. So I'm just going to basically, with the kind of same action, just do a little smoochy, kind of up and downy drag across the page. And this is just a sort of middling sap green really, and just do a little wiggle and a pull, wiggle and a pull here and there, just to soften that line a bit. That looks more natural now. I'm quite happy with that now. The depth and the darkness of it, and when we apply the poppies, it's going to make much more sense. So I've got quite a number of reds here to my ammunition, and I'm just going to pop them on here because we'll probably end up going between lots of different colours and doing lots of different things with them. I think that's actually the same colour. Yeah, some peaches and some light pinks as well. And this nice pink that we've already used in the sky. I'm just going to try something first of all. They are very quite pillar box red, aren't they? So if we take the side of a pastel and we just tap and do a slight pull and just alter and vary our pressure and our position of the pastel. You can do little dots if you want like this and spend all day doing it, or you can just basically do a very, very soft downwards push just to add these distant poppies in. And here and there, do some lines as well, which is, as I say, you don't want it to look too uniform. And some dots will make out brighter looking poppies. But we've got millions of poppies here, and we just want to get them on there and away. We don't want to be spending all day on it. So just a downwards push, ever so slight, and just maintain that. Because the pastel will sometimes stick, sometimes it won't, and it'll all create this illusion of poppies in the distance. Now I've established that line, I'm going to be a little less regimented, just doing them in batches. We'll start to do more irregular scrapes, if you like, with this red. And we're just going to bear in mind how far away they are, and you know, they won't look much to our eyes all the way over there, but they're there and they're beautiful. And then I'm just going to randomise this even more with some bigger scrapes in different places, because you really want it to stand out. But you know, you've created these little lines, we can embellish them with a little bit more brightness and a little bit more forcefulness with this colour. So now we're going in with bigger dots and longer scrapes, and that's really going to be the technique all the way through. And now we're here, we go for some nice hearty bigger scrapes, individuals if you like, or we can go for a nice straighter one like that, because some of them will be so bunched up we wouldn't be able to see. So just alternate your technique when adding the poppies. And then coming down to this area here, every time thinking a little bigger, a little bit more random, not so many lines but more shapes. And we can start to break this up now from being lines as such. When we get to this line here, we're just going to bring the poppies down this far. So this is where we put this sort of staggered line in along here, and what we'll do is that's where we'll stop applying the red. So don't bring it all the way down, bearing in mind the little accents and the dark areas that you put in. But for the rest of it, it's just very nice, just subtle scrapes and dots. Keep them random and nice. Some of them are going to be really close together and you can't make up much more. That's all there is to it at this point. Just dots and scrapes. Getting a little bit tiny, bigger and braver every time we come further down the page. I'm still sticking to this line here that I've got. You can bring some of them down lower, because there will be some that are higher and some that are lower. But when I start to apply the pencil, it'll start to make more sense to you, I'm sure. And if you think there's not enough red and there's too much wishy-washy green, by all means keep going in and reapplying. There's a little darker area there, so I might just put in my reds and the lighter green and leave that bit. It's just happened organically, but it's still come in and look effective and help. And put the odd one again down there. So, scrape and dab, scrape and dab. So we've kind of followed this line down. There's not so much of a line there. So this is where we can start thinking about, okay, where the light green lies, we have more poppies, because that would go without saying as they're getting more sun. But now I'm starting to turn my scoop a bit to make more discernible shapes. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking the pastel and I'm just doing a sort of quarter of a circle, really, but very, very light, not very lightly as such, but just a very tight circle, I guess, just to now start to give the impression of, well, there's the top of a poppy. It's just that shape and that push with the pastel that's so effective, and it just automatically, you can do them going the other way, this way and that way, just with this almost a quarter of a turn on the pastel, quite heavily handed, and you can do it too, and it just ends up making everything start to take shape. And we'll also be putting on little highlights as well, so now I'm doing these quarter turn dots, but bearing in mind some of them will be so close together that you just won't make out the shapes at all. Quarter turn, just a quarter turn, that's all it is. And it just looks like the light's caught the corner of that poppy, doesn't it? And we'll have some, I'll have quite a few of them living here. But it's all about manipulating the pastel, taking heed of where you've got lights and dark. As I say, you're going to expect to see more of the poppy in the lighter greens, so just use that logic when you're applying these. So I'm just in this area now. Now I think what I'm going to do, because I'm getting to a bit of a level here, and I want to focus on the photograph and have a good look at how these poppies look, is we'll bring this part to life more. I'm just going to do some more strong scoops up at the back here. Less discernible, a bit more strength though. So I'm basically pushing quite a bit on this. Because let's face it, there's so many of them. I think they deserve a bit more red. There you go. Definitely, just looking at the photo, altering tacks a little bit with this area. It does really pay to go back and look again. And I'm definitely feeling that this needs a lot more of the red applied than was there. And just keep going and applying with dots and scoops, dots and scoops. And in some areas I'm just going to really join them up and really allow it to become a sea of red. I've got some lighter reds and pinks here to apply some highlights. But I think I might be going for something a bit more like this pink. Let's see what it looks like. Obviously these little bits and bobs are getting their taste of sun, so I'm just going to see if this pink will work. No. Right. This is a bit more a stronger one, so I think we'll use this. yeah, I like that better. And now if we think about all these little areas bunched up, some of them will have light on top, some of them a bit further back. And you just add in little poppy highlights, bits of light hitting them. And I'm not doing every single poppy, I'm just hitting it at different points where I've applied red already. Doesn't require much in the way of highlights at all, really. But it just makes it a little bit more interesting. I'm sorry I've got all this quiet time here, but I really want to concentrate on this and help you do the best with what you can with your tools. And sometimes it just requires a bit of quietness, and I know that you're not used to me being very quiet, but it's just, I'm just really in the moment, to be honest. I'm enjoying it, I'm enjoying sharing it with you. I hope you're really enjoying it as well. So as again, just going to carry on with these highlights and nice and chilling for you, I hope. And I think maybe what we'll do now is we'll start putting in the stalks. So in between all these stalks and everything, where there is poppies and where there isn't, obviously we have a lot of stalks. So we can emphasise these with the pencil just by in intimate places, because I've gone a little bit too, I think I should have been a bit braver and gone a bit darker up here. So I'm going to minimise that by applying all the stalks in the dark green, and I would normally have not bothered doing this much and this many, but I think that it just needs balancing out with a bit more dark. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I can still now go in with a darker one. And this is the thing about anything new that we try. I've not done this painting before. But like, you learn all the time. Even I'm still learning. I'm just thinking if that was a bit darker. So let's try that. See if that will look better. Going in. I mean, the thing is, this would have been easier if it was darker already. So I'm just going to pat a dark in. I don't think it really makes too much difference. I'm definitely going a bit darker here. We're going to put in lots of stalks there. So I think that might be the best point to assess to see how we're getting on with this painting. This is the only way we learn. So in the rungs there we will have all the green stalks and various little bits and bobs that live in here. So I'm just going to now do some downward strokes where some of these poppy heads are. And I'm going to keep it quite minimal, not all the way down in some places because it'll be darker and you won't see the ends of those stalks. But I'm just wondering if this is going to, oh yeah, it's definitely going to help. I'm just adding these details of stalks and things that live in with these poppies. I want to highlight a bigger one there. And I'm just now thinking, okay, well, these stalks, let's make these poppies more visible. Yeah, I think that's going to work actually. Just one of my old tips here, which you've probably heard before. if you are not sure, take a photograph. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. And we can see if this Poppyfield is going to work for us. It doesn't help looking on the iPad, I don't know why. There we go. Yeah, I think that will work okay. Now I'm looking at the photograph. I do think that I should have been a bit darker in between the stalks. So apologies guys if you've been following me minute by minute. I'm just going to go in to some of these gaps with this darker colour and just darken the bits before. I mean, we could always put more of the poppies on. It's not the end of the world, but bad judgment of colour I think for me then. I'm not going to go in every single little gap. I do want to darken this area a little bit, especially where there's bigger gaps. So I'm just shading in between the red here. And all that bit's dark, so. And tap in these little dark areas a little bit. Not too worried if I obscure some of the poppies. They might look more affected tapped anyway, but do that sort of blurred effect. And look, I'm going to go back to the photograph now and just look at these stalks, see what's happening over there. So we've got yellow bits and all sorts of things back here. We've got great big stalks that are just coming up of their own accord, something like that, in amongst these poppies. It's quite a wild scene. So there's going to be some bits growing up and out, and some of these stalks are going to be, I guess, going with a bit more green, I think. I'm just going to now start putting in little stalks in amongst these poppies in the distance as well. Just bringing that to life a bit. Another bit here, we've got not much. So just have a good think about everything that you're looking at, how your stalks grow, what shape are a poppy. Have a good guess at it at this point, and then when we get closer we can really start to make all of this make sense. There's one in there a bit darker. Pop on some bright ones over the dark. Over this area I think we'll just make it more predominantly poppies. Just putting in with them colours. And then what we'll do is we'll get down to a happy point, and then we'll start looking again into building up more texture. Half turns, remember, in some of these. Half turn, well, quarter turns, just the twist on the pastel, anti-clockwise and clockwise, and they're already looking very much like poppy shape. So now I realise we need it a little bit more dark. I think we're going to actually make a full decision of filling this in all together down here, because you can see the red's going over the black quite well. So I think we can be brave. So as you see, I'm just putting in highlights everywhere. I mean, when I get quiet like this, I don't blame you if you want to fast forward me. But if you're enjoying watching it and you're just enjoying the process, you're more than welcome to watch it in its entirety. Now we're starting to get a little bit more depth going. Just going to move these off of here, and we're going to commit to making this lower area completely dark. I think it's just going to look a lot better. So I'm just doing it on the horizontal. You guys know how I blend. Just keep it nice and linear. And then with your flat 3 fingers in a circular motion. Don't worry about catching your red. It's not important. I'm not bothered. I just want to fill this up with colour. And so I'm not doing quite a circular motion there. I'm just trying to, just like, do you know what? I might get rid of them. We can always add more texture and highlight there. It doesn't really matter that it's gone like that now. And I'm just going to make sure I fill this in with colour. Let's make it nice and dark. There's always a fear of applying too much dark, but red is quite a strong colour, so we can put green over it. So you can put strong greens over this and reds, so it will work. Fingers crossed, eh? I hope you're really enjoying this today. This is the second part, and it has been quite a busy week. I've got a bit of a croaky voice coming on because of just pressures and stuff like that. We've been doing the Students Lockdown Prize, which is going really well. The BBC have just done a really nice article on it, and yeah, it's all going really, really well. So it's just been the website going live as well. It was another biggie this week. But yeah, I'm still here doing this for you guys, and I will keep doing it as long as you need it. I'll try my best anyway. So there we go. So now we've got quite a lot of dust on there. You might want to give it a little blow. Try and blow it away from where all your colours are. So I'm just going to get up and step around and blow it in that this direction here. There we go. Here are my slippers. So now we're getting more into the foreground, and the stalks are going to be more visible and more shaped and things like that. So we've got all this red going on here, and we're going to continue to keep daubing away with our red. We don't want to see too much of this light green, so be quite liberal. Remember, half circles help, quarter turns help making that poppy shape. Just a little quarter turn like this. And then we'll really, really study the poppy when we get to this stage here, because this is when they start to get much more in the foreground and the shapes are all that much more important. There we go. So at the moment I'm just reiterating the colours that I've already put, and it's just touching the tops of them so that they've got a little bit more of a highlight as well in places. And then we can go back in and make our little stalks. We could have, I'm just looking at this area here where we've got quite a bit of space. We could put a little pod in there. You know, there's lots of poppy pods. So let's get a few of them in as well. There we go. Just a few little pods here and there. Again, just working on just making these spaces in between the poppies look real and alive and vibrant. And just go in and just poke some little twigs in. Where you've got dark, you can go in with the black. Light and dark as always. Oh, thank you, Steve. Thank you. And yeah, it's really, really nice. So I'm just going to go in with some of the colours. I'm just going to emphasise and brighten up, reiterate what it is I'm doing. I might have some bits and bobs that Sorry about the squeaky noise, eek. But we do want to make it look, we know there's things living in these dark areas. I would like to sort of put, just, you can look at things individually sometimes and see how they don't look right. So this area here just needs a little bit more red. Just want to make that look a bit more natural. So use your own instincts really on this, because sometimes you put stalks in and it's nice to put poppies over the top of the stalk as well, because they don't just sit behind and that's it. For example, you know, we could have a nice big one here, or one that's kind of caught on the edge of that big old thing there. So an accidental little bit of pigment on my finger, just make some few random poppies with that. Don't want to waste anything. And I'm just carrying on going back over and over, building this depth up in these different areas. And it's looking more randomised probably to the students, I guess, because obviously it's not usually this fluid where it's more instinctual. It's more you know, it's more taught, whereas this is more felt. So this is something that's going to challenge you yourself to just feel what's right here in your picture. Just feel what doesn't look right. Do something about it. You know, and so you can see here I'm constantly adapting and changing my tact on it. As the more I look at it, the more I think, oh no, you know, we need that there, or we need this there. So just do the same for yourself. Use your own instincts in building up a believable image, and you might just find just a little daub of a little quarter turn of your pastel to make it look like a poppy was all it needed, and it's absolutely wonderful. You know, it just sometimes is the most subtle adjustment and it comes to life. I think you'd agree this is looking quite nice, and I think you'll all be really happy with your results. So again, I'm just going to reiterate these indications of stalks where there's dark, maybe some yellow, more yellowy stalks as well. I've got all sorts of things living in here. Might have another pod taking over the world right there. Oh, it hasn't made for much of a pod, but never mind. Sometimes it's a good idea as well to wipe your pencils if you're working in thick pastel. So now we've got to this area here, where these stalks are going to be more and more a fixture, thicker, stronger. So just work your way around, bringing these stalks alive underneath. And all I'm doing is just a swoosh. I don't even mind that this pencil's quite blunt. Just a swoosh, let go, let them stalks disappear into the darkness underneath. That's it. And then we'll have the same kind of thing going on with this area. Just a swoosh, pull, pull, pull. And then what we're going to do is just going to carry on with that theme. But now we're going to really, really draw and paint an actual poppy. Because all of this is just suggestions and shapes at the moment. But we're going to have to now get really brave and see how our poppy drawing is. Again, I'm just filling in these dark areas. Might bring some of these darker stalks right down through, because we're going to have some gaps between things, aren't we? So don't be afraid to draw your lines on up and beyond. So let's do that. Let's make it longer. Just in certain places. Let's have a nice pod. A nice bigger pod there. And show world. You can put them wherever you like. And again, it's not just the poppies. There's all sorts of life in here. And these little subtle twigs and things like that, just tell your viewer that this is a genuine thing to look at, and it just helps with the details. It just helps with the interpretation, just tiny little subtle things like this. Just some bigger twigs that are a little taller than our poppies. There we go. Now we need to really study a poppy. I'm going to make sure we're still recording. Yeah. So now we need to really study the poppies that are in this picture. As we get into the foreground, there's going to be less of them to paint in big bunches in any case. And there's going to be a bit more detail to think about. But luckily, they're still quite easy to do. So we come down to this area here. And I think what we're going to do first of all is we're going to put in our stalks and things. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put in a few poppies to give us an idea of where we're going to live with our twigs and stalks and stuff. Right. So a quarter turn, just like before. You can go both ways with it. It's just a quarter turn on the head of your pastel. That's all it is. Just a quarter turn. And then a quarter turn. And that's a poppy shape. And poppies obviously, doesn't matter if you get more pastel out on the top than the bottom, because poppies are so different. They don't all look the same. So that's totally acceptable. But basically that is a poppy shape. And it is just taking the pastel head and doing a quarter turn in the tightest corner you've ever been on in your life, and then just do the same the other way, just a twist. And we can do them bigger, so we'll go for a bigger quarter turn and a bigger quarter turn this way. Again, it looks poppy-ish, but now we need to sort of think a little bit more about shapes, because some of them are more random. But what we're going to do now, I mean, some poppies are going to be just like a half circle, like that one. And I think, yeah, I mean, I think we will just put the essence of shapes in this foreground. I've got an idea actually. I'm not really going to do the same as the photograph, but we'll see how this develops first. So again, you remember you've got to fill up your spaces as well. Some of these poppies are going to be in more light than others, but just go ahead and randomise some of your shapes. Some of them are going to be brighter, some of them aren't. Just your little quarter turns and accents with shapes, because we want the indication of the shapes of the poppies. So you can do little like mouths like that if you like as well. That will work, just little mouth shapes. But remember that poppies will grow in all sorts of angles and things, so try and keep it as random as you can. And as we get closer to here, we'll have some more decent shaped poppies that are just maybe facing a different angle. And just keep that idea going. And as we get closer, those poppies are going to be more visible. So I'm just doing a poppy-ish shape now, a little bit further in the foreground. And it's really up to you how you want these poppies to live. You can have as many or as little of them. You can have them blue if you want them blue. I think that's one of the nicest things about this, is you're making every decision, and you know, and it's the choices that you're making, putting pastels on paper. We have a rather fat cat here at the moment that's amusing Steve, because she's just flopped. She's just had her food, and now she's just being a little flatchy pants all over Steve. So
now she's forlorn.
Yeah.
Because I'm not playing ball.
I know. She gets it her own way too many times, that one. So anyways, I'm just continually building this up and just remembering, you know, a pair of lips like that if you like, or this quarter turn which will make you a poppy shape in silhouette, and then obviously you can do it the other way. But I think what we're going to do here is we're going to do something similar to something I've done before, but we're going to get some more definite, oops, there goes my red, never mind. So you can see I'm applying quite a bit of pressure actually, you can see that. Just get rid of that reddish tinge. And I would just like you to just use your own imagination at the moment and just work in different shapes for your poppies. And then we can go in with a bit more detail and be a bit more... Now we're further forward, I'm just going to start putting in the indications or the suggestions that there's poppies there rather than really going in for it. Because I'd like to think that now we're right at the dark end of this glade, and all these poppies are not getting as much light down here. Oh God, red is totally messed up now. Oh. I'm going to use that anyway, give it a dab about.
Well, it's not one not.
Yeah. Sounded so intellectual. Well, it's not one not. Oh no. Right. So now we're just going in with this idea of poppies, and in the meantime I'm having trouble with this falling apart. Where we put the hints of colour in, we've been a bit abstract. Just give that a dab. Just a touch of a dab. If you imagine, this could be the foreground, but there's no focus. So we see that these poppies are here, but there's no focus on them. So they're just a blur. And I think that would be a really nice effect to sort of bring this all together. So we might just give these ones here a bit of a tap, but not too much of abuse. Just a tap, just to set it back a little bit. And then we'll stop doing that and allow the other ones to be nice and bright, because I'm just adjusting the darkness of these colours, imagining that they're getting into this darkish area, because now we are just going off the hoof. It doesn't look like the photograph anymore, but we can make it effective, and we can do some proper poppy shapes. Now we've got this darker area here, and we're just going to simply draw in light and not a lot of stalks. So imagine this is way in the darkness now. We might have a nice big pod sitting there getting ready, and it can live there, but it just won't be seen very well because it's going into the dark. So by all means add a few pods like I'm doing, and I'm letting that black just command what is happening here. So for now we're just thinking, okay, they're in the dark, most things are going to get some light, but as we get lower down, but we'll always get the brave ones that are going to pop up and over. So remember your stalks and your pods. Fading away again. But we're just using this in a more abstract way today. Poppy could be quite full on, as we just said about full onness. At the moment we're just adding these stalks, and it does seem like a lot more laborious doing the intermediate. I mean for you guys really, because obviously a lot of the time I'm not talking, I'm just concentrating, but I find it a challenge as well, so we'll just leave them ones. All these bigger ones are, obviously they're going to have stronger stalks. We can just pull it down. And put another little pod that's making its way into the world. But I think what we need to do is just focus on this darkness. I just think it's just going to finish it off. I'm going to have a look at it now in the same way that I normally do, and that's take a photograph of it to see if it's making sense on paper, because as I say, quite a lot of the time you don't know until you try. I just want this to look a bit muddied and a bit abstract. Just gone a bit in this. I might pat that back a little bit more. Definitely. Oh, thank you. I'm definitely gonna look at these bigger ones here and apply a little bit more detail to them as well, just to finish it off better. I'll have another big one here. We're just disappearing. There we go. See your stalk no more because they're in the dark. Okay. And I'm just going to now more randomly put some stalks in the darker areas here. I'm going with a yellow or a gold and just add some weedy bits because there's more than just poppies that are living down there. Just think about that. Disappearing as well. And some nice strong straight bits. Who knows? It's your world, guys. And you can do whatever you like in this world of yours. I think we'll just make that a little bit more realistic. I'm just looking at this area here. I'm going to go back in with my red because it's just this nondescript area which I don't like. I'm just doing this quarter turn thing that I told you before. We just need a bit more poppy love there. And it's just helping to build more depth. These Poppyfields are just beautiful, aren't they? They really are. In the darks here, I'm just going to apply some just little odd shapes where, just when we know we're losing some of this blur, you know, this is just going out of focus. And I'm going to just do a really, really opaque, larger poppy shape here. And I'm just using the side of my thing. I'm actually going to lose that one on there altogether. And I'm just going to, again, it's more, there's a hint of it there than there was before. What's going on? Just make the edges a bit darker by using the black to come in. It's just a smudge and a hint of a shape. And that just defines that. You can now really see that that is just a blurred poppy, which is what you want to achieve. I'm going to do the same here, just spread that out and allow that to be a nice big foreground poppy. Yeah, can you see it? So all of these little layers that we're adding, it just adds interest to your viewer. I'm just going to go for another. This one here might be more of a sideways on one. So I'm just going to do a bit of a shape like that. And then I'm going to deliberately obscure that again. And now we have a beautiful blurred foreground poppy. And it just helps finish off what's going on in the middle ground. And so we've actually made a full departure from the photograph, as beautiful as it is. Sometimes you can look at something and say, well, you know what, I think that would be a much better effect. So here we go again. I'm just going to blur that out. But it looks like a lovely, beautiful poppy in the foreground, doesn't it? I think I might put a little bit more black in between them. But I think you get the general idea. That one might just be a little bit misshapen. None of them are perfectly the same. I'm really quite enjoying this, guys. I hope you're enjoying it too. It's something a bit different, a bit special, isn't it? So now we've got this, we've got a little bit of red in with this black where I've been padding away of that colour. So I'm now just going to, you go back in with the black, and I just want to try and not have that too much red there that I've got. Some places it won't matter so much, but I don't want it to look too, I want it to look like this is the darkness and this is the red of the poppy. And just basically tapping away. You alright? Yeah. You alright, Bob?
Yeah. You're black though.
I'm black, am I? I'm absolutely covered in black.
Well, I'm red.
You're red.
I'm red.
And red. Oh, we have a little bit more now. Right, guys. So I think we're getting somewhere. I'm just going to now take a photograph of it.
You look like the Joker.
He's off again, sorry. Oh no, what's happened to the rig? The rig's been off. So somebody must have knocked it. I don't know how long it's been off for. I'm sorry guys, I'm really sorry about that. I really can't turn back time either. I'm so sorry. Again, we're having problems, but yeah, the rig's been moved. I don't know how. Probably Molly knocked it.
No, you moved the table. A minute or two ago.
Did I?
Yeah.
What, only a minute or two ago?
Yeah.
If it was me then, great, yeah. Okay, sorry guys, if it was me then I apologise. I suppose it's just normal for me. That's actually looking really nice, isn't it? I'm really happy with that. I think that doing it that way, instead of going to all that amount of detail and worry with every single blade of grass and everything, it's just created a really special painting. I really hope you enjoy it. I'm just basically taking these lines where the grasses end just into the shadows by just pushing it down a little bit. There might be areas where you want to build up a little bit more on your highlights. And you can do that with a lighter pink. But honestly, I don't think it really needs much work. I'm just going to get the lighter pink that I had before, wherever that is. There it is. A bit mucky now, but hey. Well, this is quite a light pink. Oh God, sorry about that guys, Steve's just smashed a glass. Oh, okay. Honestly, anything that could go wrong. You should have stayed well away. It was going alright till you walked in. So I'm just going to push a few little highlights on the poppies. And where we get a bit closer here, we can really start to think more about the poppy shape. It does have that distinct shape. I think what I will do is I'll make some of these poppies quite poppy-esque, if you like, and we'll work a little bit more on them. They do have a bit of a centre, so we can just give it a dab and a push, dab and a push, dab and a push, just to accentuate the inner part of the poppy a bit more. I'm going a bit darker without a push, I think, actually. And just here where we've got this nondescript, there's definitely a lot more going on with that one than we've done. So we might as well just make that a little bit more interesting to look at. We can highlight the edge of it, make it that shape that we all know. Top edge will get some more light on it, and then maybe a little bit more light at the bottom of it here.
Yeah, it works. Oh.
we can obviously darken some areas of it as well and just basically make that shape right. Now we have more of a poppy shape out of that colour, just sitting there. And this one might just be a closed one. Just a delicate, it's a light on the top there where it's getting ready to open up and be brave one day. And underneath I just want to add a little bit more shadow to it. A little bit of black. This one looks like it's had a really good party. It really looks like it's just walked in and had the best night out ever. I don't know why that is. It just looks like a mouth, I think. Again, let's highlight that centre. This one could be another one that's just not really opened up. Very, very thin in nature, so I'm just going to apply some highlights to the side of it. And we'll get really, just where the petals are thin. And we'll have this darker area again down here. So I'm just doing an almost triangle fill in there. And that's it really. I mean, you could go around and do each individual one with a bit of light on them, a bit of highlight if you want to here and there. But I think that it's quite important that these ones in the foreground, I mean, I'm making this one a little bit more interesting with highlight. I suppose we could try that. And then just tap it back again. A bit sitting on here, a little bit sitting on there. Push. Quite like this edge being highlighted. And just push it back. And I think that really completes it. It's been absolutely lovely to do. And super excited for you to all finish it and share with me what you've done. Just think about your highlights and that kind of thing as you just finish off your painting. But yeah, it's quite a simple effect because we're just basically saying, right, it's nice and dark down here, and a little less information needed, thank you. And then you end up with this really, really effective, painting, calling it a photograph. Just going to put in some extra little touches. I think we might need some more. And then we'll have to go and pick up that smashed glass.
Give it time.
You think it's done?
Nice.
Right guys, I'm just going to pick this up and do my usual, which is take a photograph. Get rid of the dust as well. Right, there's just a couple of things I've noticed, and I just want to push that one back. All this blurriness here, it needs to make sense, and that needed to be out of focus. That's okay, that needs to be out of focus. I'm just giving it a bit of a push. I like that. I'm going to just push it again a little more. Yeah. I just needed this, I think we need a little line in there to show that that little one there that I've ignored before is surviving on its own, independently of that one. Let's give that one its own little home. And just push that in so it's in shadow a bit. I think it's just something about that one just needed knocking back a little bit. A little bit of dark over it, push it back a little more. Right, I think we're done. So that's it, guys. I really hope you've enjoyed this one. It's been great for me. I've absolutely loved it. Sign your work. Please share it with me. You can come and join me at Facebook at Emma Hunt Art. You can see my work on Facebook. On my own website now, which is emmahunt.art. You'll be able to buy any paintings from there that you might like. There's limited edition prints as well and all sorts of everything there. But the community aspect of it is mainly driven through Facebook, YouTube now, and Instagram, which is artist at Emma Hunt. So I really hope you've enjoyed it. I'm just going to sign my work as I've told you to. And please, by all means, give it a good go. Have some fun with it. Persevere with it. Just delight in it and just be joyful and relaxed. That's all you need to do. Just enjoy your time. So I'd actually need to work out a different pencil because that's not going to work, is it? What colour should we use today? Yellow. I think yellow would work.
There.
Down there?
Yeah.
Okay. So don't forget, guys, sign your work. Please share it. I absolutely love seeing what you've done each week. It makes my week. It really does. It's joyful to see your interpretations. But yeah, we're done. I'm sorry about the rig getting knocked. I hope you haven't missed anything important and it was just a minute or two. I mean, whether it was me that moved the table or the rig, I'm not sure. But anyways, we're online again and we're hopefully, we've not done too bad a job getting used to do this on YouTube as well. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Have a great week and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.